Really, really excited to share some details with you and excited to catch up and hear from you how things are going with your advocacy. This is obviously 2026. The last time we spoke was 2025. This is the year we will begin to end the era of Americans dying while waiting for a kidney transplant. This is just a picture I made back in 2020 of the chain that I launched back then, where my kidney went to Atlanta, and really excited for far more people to have the opportunity to donate kidneys. Now, this is a movement rooted in joy. We have the power to pass a law that gives life, and what could be better than saving lives? We will be moving people from a death list to a life list. And so there's just no more important work than this. We definitely know that the people who will be saved by this bill will otherwise have passed needlessly, suffered needlessly on the kidney wait list. Now, I've been a teacher for 33 years, and I made that decision intentionally so I wouldn't have to deal with stuff that is really, I think you need a strong emotional immune system to deal with. And here's one example. In January of 2026, Lynette Land died on the kidney wait list. This was a photo that was given to me by someone who tried to help her find a kidney transplant. She's emblematic of the thousands and thousands of Americans who die every year when they could easily be saved by a kidney transplant. And that's what our goal is. So just wanted to share the pain with you of what a horrific system we're living in that doesn't save the lives of those who can be saved. And we're going to get this thing done. We are closer than ever to passing the End Kidney Deaths Act. We have bipartisan momentum. Public support is on our side. Our solution is ready, and obviously lives are on the line. In 2024, the End Kidney Deaths Act was introduced. In 2025, it was reintroduced, and this is the year that we're going to cross the finish line and get this bill passed. Now, as most of you know, every hour someone dies waiting for a kidney. We've spent the last 2 years meeting about the End Kidney Deaths Act. I would say Congress is now well informed about the bill, and now we must persuade our leaders to act. This is a winnable fight. Our policy is ready. The economics will work well to save American taxpayers billions of dollars. We know the public supports us, and we know that Congress has the ability to act. So we must expand our coalition, grow the number of co-sponsors, activate constituents, and win to save the 10,000 lives annually. Believe it or not, we've had over 1,000 meetings with congressional members and their staff. This is across party lines. This is with committee staff. They make the decisions oftentimes, and obviously in both the Senate and the House across chambers. And just to give you an example of how bananas this process can be, today I joined 3 constituents in Representative Schneider's district. He's an Illinois congressman who's apparently running unopposed. And we met, this was our 4th meeting with the office, and the staffer would not commit to sharing the information about the End Kidney Deaths Act with Representative Schneider. And so I wrote a long letter to the office and expressed my frustration that they're not even giving their boss a choice about whether or not to sponsor the End Kidney Deaths Act. And I'm often thinking, like, why are the staffers acting like gatekeepers when this is an amazing opportunity to do really what is the mission of Congress, to spend our money in a clever way and not waste it, and to save the lives of American people. I think there's nothing more patriotic than that. And so I put this tweet up on Representative Schneider's latest comment, and I encourage you on social media to go to your leaders and ask them directly, because we've met with them, why aren't they supporting this legislation? Now, we did spend about $4,000 to get a University of Chicago poll going. I think it was money well spent, because now we can share with everyone in Congress that this is not a politically risky bill to support. 57% of Americans support the legislation, and only 12% are opposed. The others were neutral about the bill, but this is incredibly strong, especially the fact that very few people are opposed to the legislation. And so this has been really helpful for us. This is the way I'm presenting it to Congress. That it's a 5-1 margin, and this is very strong backing for a major healthcare reform proposal, so that it is again politically safe for them to support the bill. This is the question that we asked. I'm not going to read it aloud now, but I will share the presentation with you so that you can read it if you're interested. Now, we also asked whether people supported passing the End Kidney Deaths Act through an executive order, and 46% were in favor of that, 23% opposed, with a net 23-point net favorability margin. 1/3 of the country is neutral on this one. And this is, again, very encouraging, especially when I'm speaking with people in the executive branch, to show that there is support for the End Kidney Deaths Act and for an executive order to make it happen. Now, an executive order wouldn't be a tax credit because presidents can't pass tax credits with an executive order, but it will be what we're going to call a public service payment, something of that nature. And this was the question about the executive order on the North Pole. Now, and this is the way that I'm presenting it to the executive branch. So right now we have 48 listed House sponsors. We have 10 Democrats who are not yet listed on among the co-sponsors, and that's because Representative Malliotakis' office, she's a Republican, she wants there to be an even number of Republicans and Democrats. They call it Noah's Arking. Some people call it Jack and Jilling. But the truth is that we need more Republicans. Obviously, we need more Republicans and Democrats, but the more Republicans we get, the more Democrats can then be listed among our supporters. But please know that we have 58 in total, and it's awfully close to 60. This is a very healthy number. Bills pass with far fewer co-sponsors, but we need a lot of co-sponsors to get those committees really moving to vote on this legislation. So I've been doing some research about this number that we've used very frequently to say, you know, only 2 out of 100 willing donors, only 2 actually donate. And I did some digging because I saw in some articles that it said it was closer to 15%. And it turns out it depends on how you are, like everything, right? It depends on how you're calculating the number. And so I think I'm going to begin saying 15%. Because I think that's a more accurate number. Those who just put their names down to become a donor, they may not be seriously interested, but once they are referred to a transplant center and then they are evaluated for transplant, it turns out to be about 15% of them actually donate. And so I think we're moving to a different number. I'm always very interested in making our movement better and improving our numbers and the accuracy of our numbers. And I think that this is the way we're going to go. We can talk about this afterwards if anyone has any comments on this, but I think it is speaking more closely to reality here. So this is the way to think about it. Of 100 people who register interest, 30 are referred to a transplant center, and about 15% wind up donating. Now remember, the last time there was a growth in the number of living kidney donors was back in the early 2000s. We've had about 25 years of no growth in the number of living kidney donors. The petition is pretty healthy and great. We've had 500 new team members join since December, but very strangely, still 0 people in Rhode Island. And so if you know of anyone in Rhode Island, even one person, it will be helpful in getting meetings with Rhode Island senators and House members. Here's the QR code that I'll share in my follow-up email. If you can, I'm going to try it this week. Stand in front of a dialysis center, in front of different spaces, and have people click on the QR code to bring up the petition. Now, I have had 2 good meetings with executive branch people who are quite knowledgeable about kidney policy. One was with CMMI, the Center for Medicare Medicaid Innovation, and the other with a leading transplant researcher at NIH. It turned out he wanted my help. That was trying to get more funding for kidney research, but I was trying to get him to bring this to President Trump's attention. I'm seeking meetings with leaders at the CDC and the Department of Health. I've reached out to them, but so far I haven't heard back. So if anyone has any connections, I'd be super grateful. Now, just a reminder that I am fully covered for my salary, and so that is an excellent thing. We are having the lobby days every month, and those cost about $3,000. And so if you are feeling like making a donation, you can either send a check to me, and that way we won't have to pay the fee, and I can just deposit it in the Coalition to Modify Another account, or you can directly donate on the website. I don't like asking for money, but the fact is, this because we are doing monthly lobby days, they are a little bit costly. Just an opportunity to do some advocacy. I will be attending the Transplant Games. 10,000 people attended the last Transplant Games. They're sort of Olympics for people who are either transplanted or donors. And I think it's a great opportunity for us to get more people involved in the movement. So big news is that it's been characterized as public mistrust, leading to deceased donation organ donation drop in the past year, a 4% decline in deceased donors, and that is something that we're not used to seeing, because usually the OPOs outdo themselves and do a better job year to year. And so this is something that's quite worrisome in the transplant community. Hopefully this is not a new trend. And there was a lot of bad news about the organ donation system in 2025, and perhaps that's having an impact, or perhaps this is just the way things go, the ebb and flow. That's what I'm hoping. Now, we have good news on the my other bill, which is called the Honor Our Living Donors Act. It looks like it's heading for passage, which is beautiful. It's been included in this Labor, Health, and Human Services Appropriations Bill. And so that would be a really, really good thing for those who are low income. It's fixing the low income donor reimbursement program. And I see Tom Peters on the call. He came to so many meetings with me about this legislation, as well as Dr. Harmony and Dr. Hess, and just very hopeful we can get this one done. Now, I had a really good article published in a peer article called The American Spectator about the End Kidney Deaths Act with Walter Block. He's an economics professor from in New Orleans at Loyola University. And then yesterday, there was an article in the New York Times about a young man who donated his kidney to a stranger. And you really stepped up. I just want to thank those who commented about the End Kidney Deaths Act and the need for the New York Times to do a piece on the legislation. It was really, I was just so proud and happy to see how well everyone wrote really eloquently, and just excellent work, excellent work. Dr. Mnookin is going to be the new leader at Columbia University. She was just appointed president, and someone in the community, John Campbell, pointed out that she's a kidney donor. So I wrote to her just to see if she wanted to join our supporters page. And please feel free, if you see things like that, I'm always happy to reach out to anyone under the sun who could possibly help us get to the finish line. Now, this is discouraging. There's no way around this. I have mentioned previously that in the last congressional session, record low legislation passed. When you look at the numbers, you just want to weep. Over 16,000 bills were introduced. About 200 passed. That's about a little over 1%, and 1/3 of them were ceremonial bills, meaning naming new post offices and things like that. So it's pretty grim, and that session is making this session look productive. They are so unproductive in Congress right now. It's really it's just unexplainable, and so. We need to understand that, we're getting this bill done, we're doing all the right things, and we just need to keep on pushing. But knowing that in general, they're not doing a whole lot over there, except for getting sound bites on TV, as far as I can see. And as I said earlier, we're building momentum, and we're showing up for those who are too sick and too tired to do the work themselves. We are healthy enough to run this campaign. So if you have any access to a podcast or a podcaster, we had Josh Markey giving a talk at the Rotary Club in Florida this past month. If you are involved involved at all in a spiritual way with your, if it's appropriate to bring it up among those that you pray with, anybody in your family, if they sign the petition, it's just more numbers. They don't have to get my emails. They can opt out of getting emails. They can opt out of being invited to meetings. But we really need the help now. It's one for all and all for one. I think I said that backwards. All for one and one for all. It doesn't matter the order, but the fact is 10,000 people are relying on us to save their lives. Our next meeting is March 3rd at 5 p.m.